Hello and welcome to this demo video for the staff absentee schedule. This is a spreadsheet to monitor staff absenteeism. It's not just for annual leave, but it's for all kinds of things. So for annual leave, sick days, compassionate leave, if the person just didn't pitch up, all those kind of things are, because obviously it's good to keep a record specifically of the annual leave because you need to know how much you're going to carry over, that kind of thing. So this spreadsheet will help you with that. There is an old version of this where it was almost like on a calendar format where you selected what each person did on each day. This has been changed. The reason for that is the old one only allowed 20 people. This one you can have up to 200 staff. So let me show you how it works. Go through the settings page first and foremost because it's important that you've got this set up properly. Firstly, starting month, starting year. This spreadsheet will last for a year. It'll last for a 12-month period. So you can decide when to start your year. This can either be a calendar year or it can be a financial year, whatever you want, however you want to do it. But just make sure you select the month from the drop-down list and then put in the year. The following year, then you just use the same spreadsheet in theory. I would set this up at the beginning, use the same spreadsheet, just change the year, and you've got yourself another one for the next year. So keep a blank template, and every year just use a new blank template, and I'll show you how to transfer the required data across. Action for bank holidays, closed or work as normal. So if you work bank holidays, you can select work as normal. If you're closed on bank holidays, you can select closed, and that's just to let it know what you want to do on bank holidays. Just select one of those options. These over here are business closure periods. So this is in the case where you have where you close the business, for example. So if your business closes over Christmas and only opens again Friday the 3rd, say, of January 2020 rather than in the new year, you can put your start date first and your end date on the 3rd. Now, when you put in your forced closures, what you need to do is select whether the person needs to take leave or not. So if you select no, then what that means is it doesn't put any days leave for anybody. So if you close but you don't take off annual leave for that, or if you've already calculated that in or whatever, then put no. If you want the spreadsheet to take annual leave for everybody, then put yes. You can see there that goes to 2 days. That's 2 days because the 1st of January is a bank holiday. If we go to the 2nd of January, you'll see it's still 2 days because it doesn't include the bank holiday, because obviously bank holiday, you've already said here that you closed. There you have the forced business closure periods. If you are going to take leave off, if you want the spreadsheet to take the leave off for people, just remember to tick yes, to select yes, and then you'll see the number of days that it's going to remove. I'll show you how that impacts the spreadsheet later on. This section over here, this is about bank holiday changes. Now the spreadsheet automatically calculates UK bank holidays. It doesn't calculate funny bank holidays in Scotland and Northern Ireland or what have you, but in the rest of the UK, it calculates normal UK bank holidays. So what you need to do here is, this is only if a bank holiday changes. Now I know, for example, in 2020, the Queen's changed one of the bank holidays onto another day so that it coincides with the 75th anniversary, I think, of D-Day or something like that. So if a bank holiday changes, put the original bank holiday date in. Let's just say, for argument's sake, they changed the 1st of January to the 2nd of January for some obscure reason. So if I go to the 1st of January and it says 2020, make sure the year is correct here as well. It ticks there because it says, yes, it's found that bank holiday. And then I go to the 2nd of January 2020. Now what it'll do, you see there it says 1 day because it's changed the 2nd of January to a bank holiday rather than the 1st. But the chances of you having, I mean, this is literally a once every 10, 15, 20 years type deal where they may change a bank holiday. If they haven't changed any bank holidays, leave that blank. So that is that. Then down at the bottom here, we've got one more thing to do. These are the types of leave. Now, the annual leave, as you can see, is locked in there, and it says limit per year, see staff list. But you can put in other reasons for people being sick, or people being absent. So for argument's sake, sick leave, doctor visit, compassionate, no reason, whatever the case might be. You can put in the reasons. As you can see, they're different colors. That's what will represent them on the graph. So I've left it that you can put in any reason under any color. So you can kind of pick the color that's most relevant, that you'll remember what that's for. Green always being annual leave, the dark green. So you can put them in there. Put in the limit per year, so in other words, how many days someone can do that. So for argument's sake, you don't want anyone ever coming with no reason, not coming in for no reason, but maybe sick leave, you allow 5 days, maybe 10, whatever your company policy is. Put that limit per year into, we haven't put a number in there, let's just say, let's put 5 in there as well. You put your limit per year, obviously leaving out the annual leave, that will come on the other page. And lastly, there's just an order. All this does is puts them in order. This is going to be the order of the drop-down list that you've got on your absentee data tab. So instead of having spaces in your drop-down list, all I've done is that you give you a drop-down list here of 1 to 10. As you can see, 1 to 5 is missing because I've already used them. You've got 6 to 10. Number 1 will be at the top of the list. Number 2 will be next, 3, so on and so forth. So you can use these numbers just to reorder your list so that it's in the right order for you, which is, so whatever you think you're going to be clicking most will be at the top, that kind of thing. Lastly, number of days to carry over. So how many days of annual leave are your staff allowed to carry over from one year to the next? If you put that number in there, that will keep track of the number of days that they can carry over. And that's it for your setting up. So once you've set that up for a particular year, as I say, keep a blank spreadsheet. You can do it again the following year and transfer the data across. I'll show you how to do that when we get to the respective page. But once that's set up, you're ready to go. The next thing you need to do is put your staff list, so your staff names. Remember not to have any duplicates. Don't put another name in here. If we were to put Colin in again there, you see it'll say duplicates, it'll flag up red. Don't do that. You'll obviously have surnames in as well, I would imagine. So list your staff, list their start date and their end date. Now the end date, obviously you may not know if they're working for you, these should all be blank. The start date, if your start date is from before the start of the spreadsheet, so if they started before the 1st of January 2020, you don't need to put anything in here. If you've got their details from when they did start and you want to keep a record of their start date, by all means keep it in. But what's important here, specifically for this spreadsheet, is if they started after the start date of the spreadsheet, then you must put the date in. And if they're due to end before the actual end date of the spreadsheet, which will be 12 months after this, it'll be the end of December, then put in the end date when you know. So in other words, if you know they've put in, they've resigned and they're ending at the end of this month, put it in the end of this month, because then it'll flag up if you try and put in leave from before they started or after they end, that kind of thing. So put the start and end date in. As I said, it doesn't matter if they started before the beginning of this year and they're not planning on finishing this year, you can leave them blank. But if you wanted to put the older start dates in, you can. This is the carried over. So this yellow column here is the amount from the carried over from the previous year. So as you can see, this person at the moment here, we look at Colin, they've got 16 days due to them, but they can only carry over 5. That's why these have turned yellow. When you get down to 5, these will change color. I think they went green to say that you're okay, so that you basically, you've got to the point where you can carry over all the leave you've got left. Whereas this guy at the moment, Colin, in fact all of them, if they get to the end of the year and they haven't taken any more leave, they're going to lose that leave. That's why it's showing up in yellow. So when you start the following year, what you could do in theory, if you've got all the start dates in, is you could come here, you could copy this data like that with your start date, you could right click, copy, you could go to the new spreadsheet that you just opened for the new year, right click and paste values. Now you've got all the staff names, and then what you could do is you could copy and paste the allowances over as well, because the allowances probably won't change unless you need to change them. This is how many days they're allowed this calendar year or the year of the spreadsheet. And then you just take the carried over days like this, right click, copy, and paste values into the carried over for the following year. That's all you do, and that will carry over the number of days that they've got leave. Last but not least is adjustments. Now adjustments, I've put it in because you may want to manually adjust something. You may have a situation where someone started the year late and they don't get the full 20 days leave, but you don't want to put 15 in here. You want to put 20 in here so that it's uniform throughout all the years, but you want to make a note that they're not going to have those 5 days. Or if you remove days for someone or add extra days on in lieu of something else, whatever, if you may want to make any manual adjustments, you can put it in here. So let's just say, for argument's sake, this Colin is entitled to 1 extra day's leave for some reason. You can put it in here, And you can put the reason in here, reason for leave. Now, obviously, you wouldn't just type that, you'd actually type in what the reason is, but put the reason, just a very short sentence, just so lets you know what that is for. It just needs to be one word, whatever it might be. If you put that in, then at least it not only takes that extra day into consideration, but it'll show you on the report. So I'll get to that in a few minutes. So here we've got your closure dates. These are the dates that the company's closed, that you're forced to take leave. This is the leave that you've used. That one says 1. We'll get to that. I've added some dates in already. This is the balance of what they've got left. And that's how many is going to carry over. Now, if you scroll to the right here, you'll see those different days of leave we put in different colors and how many each person has taken this year. Then we can go to the staff, the absentee data. Now, this is what you put in every time someone requests leave or someone's sick or whatever. On the old one, you'd go to the calendar, you'd find that respective month, you'd find the day, you'd select on the calendar, sick that day, or leave that day, leave that day, leave that day. This is slightly different. What you do now is just come here, select the person from the drop-down list, Mark, for example, select the reason they went to have a doctor's visit on the 15th of Jan. It'll tell you it's a Wednesday, so you know you've got the right date. End day, if it goes over 2 days, put in 2 days. So if they, for example, they got annual leave from the Monday to the Friday, put in the Monday's date, put in the Friday's date. It'll count all the days in between. If it's only 1 day, just put in the start date, leave the end date, because it's exactly the same. You don't have to put it in. The other thing is whether it's a half day. If it's a half day, select if it's AM or PM. If it's not and it's a full day, just leave it blank. So if it was a full day, I'll just put in like that 1 day. If he was off for 2 days, I'll then put in the 16th of January, for example, to have the first and the second day. If he was off for an afternoon, I would just say there PM. But if I put in a start date and an end date, well done, not 16th of June, 16th of Jan. You see it says use 1 day. Because I put in PM, what it's doing is it's taking the 15th as a PM and the 16th as a PM. So it's taking 2 half days. If it's 2 full days, I do that. If it's 1 full day, 1 half day, then you have to do 2 lines. So then you do another line of Mark doctor's visit, 15th of Jan, PM, for example. Then it's 1.5 days. So that's how that works. I hope that's clear. One column, just this one here will show you the balance of leave left. This one here will show you the annual leave taken. As you can see, Catherine, it says 7 days because it's including the 6 days of compulsory leave. So this isn't the total for this line. There's the number of days used for this line. That is the total of leave that person's taken. And here's the balance of what they've got left. These are just so that when you're putting in leave, you can see immediately if someone draws more leave than they've got. The only thing really to check in this is this issue line here. If that says yes, what that means is that you've actually booked someone off for the same time twice. It's got various checks that's running in the background. If that says no, then it all appears to be good. If it says yes, it means you booked them off twice. What it doesn't check, this only checks what you've done here on this page. It doesn't check in accordance with your closures. So please just make sure you don't double book someone for leave over the closure periods. We're assuming that because you close, you're not going to be booking anyone off for those times. So just do be aware of that. Otherwise, each one, new line, carry on going. It goes down there. You've got 2,500 rows, and just check that there are no issues with double booking people. But otherwise, that's straightforward enough. And that's all you need to do. So this is what you need to do when there's any absenteeism. This is your staff list that you can keep up to date. As you book off more staff, you'll see these yellow columns. These columns here will update automatically. So you don't have to put in any of this. This will all put in automatically. You just put in the first section up to the end of column H. And that's it. Your individual report, if you come to your individual report, you can select any person and it'll pull up all of their information. You see there it says this exceeds what can be carried over. Your current balance shows you per month. Just select someone else here. Who did you say has taken annual leave. Catherine's taken some annual leave. Let's select Catherine. There we go. You can see there it's got annual leave and breakdown. Now when we selected Kim, see for Kim this is turned red. Why is that turned red? That's turned red because no reason, we said the limit for no reason was 0 days and she's been off 0.5. So it just flags up to go, this has exceeded what you said should have been a limit. How you tackle that is your company policy, that's up to you, but that's just there to warn you. So it shows you the months and the different reasons, whether of how many times they were off each month for those particular different reasons that you stipulated. There's something else I wanted to show you, which was under Collins. Remember, we took that adjustment. It shows you the adjustment and it gives you the reason below for the adjustment. So you can call this up on the report for an individual if you want to. The other thing is your select monthly view. You can see the calendar. This one's a slightly more detailed calendar. So if we select 2020, you can see here annual leave sick for the morning. That was just the morning. This was the whole day. So you can see the morning, afternoon, whole day, that kind of thing. You can see a month at a time. So just select whichever month you want, and that relates to the person that you've selected here. So that's an individual report for Colin, and you can see Colin's calendar with all the absentee days there. The other thing is your overall report. You can come here. You can see overall report per month of the different reasons for being absent. So this will obviously grow each month. You'll see the list for each month of the year, all the different absentee types. Keep in mind this doesn't include your annual leave forced closures. So your annual leave closures on your Intran settings, it doesn't include that. Because again, I would assume that you would be aware of that. You wouldn't want to see that on the graph. There are your totals, your annual totals. And lastly, there's an overall calendar. So here you can see there are 20 staff at a time. So you could, in theory, see a few pages. If you've got, say, 25 staff, then you'll see here will be page one of 2. And all you do there is go to page 2 and you see that the rest of the staff. Page 1, so it shows you 20 at a time. And you can select as well the month. So you select, right, so look at what's going on in February. You can see what's happening in February. If we go along to December, you can see what's going on in December. Take a while to load up. Anyway, January, you can see what's happening in the different months. So select the month, select the page number, and then lastly, there's a list order. All this is the list of names that you've got here. What list do you want those names in? So you've got your list order. You can have them in the list order, which essentially is the same order as your staff list. So if you sort by allowances or sort by start date or end date or whatever, you can have them in that order. It will be in the same order as your staff names. If you list them in alphabetical, they'll be in alphabetical order. If you list them in the days of the days in active month, what that means is how many days each person has been off in that particular month. So if you say, well, actually, I'd like to see all the people who have actually had activity this month, as far as absenteeism is concerned, up at the top of the list, then you select days this month, or you can go days this year. So then what it does is it checks who's had the most absentee days in the whole year and puts them at the top of the list. So the only reason really for this thing here is just to sort the names in particular orders so you can see kind of who you want at the top of the list rather than having to go through the different pages. If you've got loads of staff, if you've got fewer than 20 staff, it doesn't really matter because you can see everyone in one go at the same time. And that's it. You've got your overall calendar that you can have a play around with. You've got your overall report, individual report, and it's all based on these 3 tabs. So make sure your Intran settings are Intran setup set up properly first. Input the staff names and the correct allowances and what have you. Remember, if you start when you start a new year in the spreadsheet, open up a new spreadsheet, copy and paste values, data across. Don't use normal copy and paste; it'll ruin it. Copy and paste values. Just make sure you do that. Carry over into this column when you move it across. And then absentee data. That's basically as and when things happen. Put in the information there, and it will filter through to the rest of the spreadsheet. So I hope that that's useful to you. I hope that all makes sense to why it's all there and what everything does. And I wish you all the best with your staff management. Thank you and goodbye.